Experts sound the alarm on declining birth rates among younger generation. It's a crisis, say the experts. Yeah, I've been worried about this, actually. We've been inundated with propaganda from the climate change lobby, the zero population growth lobby, the anti-human people out there like Bill Burr. And I always say Bill Burr because he, says there's too many people and it's okay if a couple cruise ships go down and stuff. While he still fathers 2 children now. The future goes to the people who show up. And the AOCs of the world and stuff aren't having children because they think the climate we're all doomed. That's a choice you can make. But a lot of people aren't having children by no decision of their own. They're the vaccination crowds, the Bill Gates, the family planning. All these people are, going down to India, going to China. They're saying too many people. And so we're going to do what we can to have family planning. We all know what that is, which is, I'll let you figure that out. Anyway, it's not good, man. Human beings are a net good. They're not a net negative. They're not. Now I got to see what up, Pablo. Come here. And so for those who think human beings are a net bad for humanity, or not for humanity, for the environment, I can't imagine being like that, to think that your fellow man is actually a net bad. It's kind of sad. So anyway, let's read this. So I'm sure there are many people say, good, less people, that's a good thing. Hold on just a second. I just caught old Pablo trying to escape. No, Pablo, come here. He's trying to escape. Watch this. See if he can see it. No. Oh, he did. Pandemic hastens birth rate drop. I remember a few months ago they were thinking the pandemic was going to lead to more kids because people are at home and getting frisky. Baby bust. Pandemic accelerates long-term birth rate drop. New data is confirming a baby boom that some doctors expected is actually a baby bust. Health departments in more than 24 states provided records to CBS News showing a 7% drop in births in December, 9 months after the first lockdowns began. And remember, my friends, this isn't just a Western thing or amongst white people and stuff. This is all over the world. Every country you go to, there's a huge decline in birthing. I mean, it's hold on just a second. This guy. Again, China is only going to have 750 million people by the end of the century. I mean, that's significant decline in people. That's not inflationary. All right, so let's keep looking back. Research says it continues a much bigger plunge in fertility in recent decades. The number of babies the average woman in the U.S. is expected to deliver has dropped from nearly 4 in the 50s to less than 2 today. Well, we've known that for a while. But the drop could present an entirely different risk to society than the one that was first warned about decades ago, when an apocalyptic fear gripped America in the 60s and 70s. The stakes of this battle are far greater than any we've ever fought, says Walter Cronkite in 1970, Big Lib. The experts said population was a fundamental crisis. Too many people, we're all going to die, as Walter Cronkite is living the high life. It's still a hypocrite, man. Remember, we weren't going to have enough food. We can't. The Malthusian, Paul Ehrlich, they've all said the same thing. They've all been wrong. All just clowns. As the world stampeded toward 10 billion people, many researchers back then predicted overpopulation would ruin humanity. There we go. Biologist Paul Ehrlich once explained the threat in The Population Bomb, the title of a book he authored in 1968. And even though he's wrong, he's still like at Stanford or something like that as an ethicist or something. He's a clown. Sometime in the next 15 years, the end will come. And by the end, I mean an utter breakdown of the capacity of the planet to support humanity, he said in 1970. Yeah, good job there, Paul. Freaking. And yet we still listen to this guy. Why you listen to these climate change people? Why you listen to these doomsdayers? They're always wrong. Today, however, a very different note is struck by researchers at the University of Southern California. Who studies demographics. The trouble is we overshot and we dropped it down too much now. Experts. Remember, we relied on the experts. Now we're going to rely on them. Experts. The only thing they're expert at is being wrong. While the global population is still growing, a major study published in The Lancet in 2020 predicted it would peak in 2064 and then fall by nearly 1 billion people by the end of the century. Reason? Fewer babies. The U.S. is already below the so-called replacement level by some measures, meaning fewer young people to support the country's growing older population. It's a crisis. We need to have enough working-age people to carry the load of the seniors, who deserve their retirement, and they deserve all their entitlements, and they're going to live out another 30 years. That's not true. Nobody in the history of the globe has so many older people to deal with. Well, Japan is going that. We'll see what happens in Japan. Not inflationary. We thought, we would see a baby boom. We just haven't seen it, said Dr. Jaspin, chair of the gynecology department at Einstein Medical Center in Philadelphia. Jaspin says patients are not only worried about their health, but their finances as well. I get a report every morning at 5:15 about what's happened in the last 24 hours. And the first report I see is a number of deliveries in the last 24. It's less than it used to be. The baby boom expected during the pandemic was a major baby bust, and it continues a much bigger plunge in fertility. Yeah? It's not the main reason births have declined during the pandemic, but social distancing doesn't exactly lend itself to romance. The Brookings Institute has predicted a large, lasting baby bust of at least 300,000 fewer children in 2021. For Laura Lindbergh, who tracks reproductive data for the Guttmacher Institute, the decrease in births could be a sign of progress, a marker of women's equality and freedom of choice. Let me ask you something, my friends. What do women want? Do women want to go out there in the workforce? Some do. That's fine. Your body, your choice. I got no qualm with that. I think we all know that women want to have children and be moms. I think that's a fact. It's maternal. It's God-given. And if you don't believe in God, it's given by your soul. However it comes, by a primordial soup or by the big guy upstairs. Women want to have children and mother them. Why do you think when it comes to retirement, I said, where are you going to live? I want to live over here. I want to live over there. And I asked the lady, where do you want to live? Wherever the grandkids are. Every single time. Who do you think wins this argument, my friends? You think the dude who wants to live in Idaho on a ranch? Or you think the mom who wants to live in, outside of Dallas, Texas, hopping and skip from the grandkids? Every time the lady wins. Because you can't argue nature. It's natural for women to want to be around the grandkids. I'm not saying it's not natural for men. It's just not as natural. Women want to be mothers and they want to be grandmothers. That's just a fact. To say otherwise is look, you can dig your head in the sand all you want. Doesn't mean all women are like that. It doesn't mean women who aren't like that aren't true women. No, not at all. Don't put words in my mouth. But just common sense. And as such, is it really progress if we have to have two income families? Look, I didn't read Stupid Elizabeth Warren's book on the two income trap, but I think there's some legitimacy to that. We got to have two incomes to freaking live in a normal modern day society. That's not good. Not good for society. It's falling apart as we're seeing the decay of society in front of our very eyes. Dowell Myers doesn't disagree, but in the bigger picture, he worries the declining birth rate is a barometer of despair. He says he never expected to be talking about global declining birth rate during his lifetime. He points to the burden of life as to what has changed. The cost of housing, education, all these things have become more and more difficult. Healthcare. I think the boomers themselves don't realize how much harder it is for millennials today. And they think, oh yeah, when we were young, we had very little money. Yeah, but things were, whatever. It is what it is. It's not a population bomb. It's not inflationary. All right, we'll see you.